Welcome to the Pulse with Peter Urbian. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano. Let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. And as you can see, we are out of studio following social distancing guidelines, and we are here at beautiful Maxwell Pier Park, which, as you can see behind me, the park is actually closed, and we're going to get to that because joining us is Josh Sotomayor Einstein, our political analyst, every week here on the Pulse. Josh, what's going on? Are you cold? You warm?
It's a little bit chilly.
A little bit chilly here on this Thursday evening. We are filming this a few days before we air.
It's not a bad day in the slowpocalypse, as I call it.
In the slowpocalypse. So, Josh, I like that. We actually haven't seen you in a few weeks, and we missed you, I think. We'll let the audience be the judge of that.
Oh, I'm sure they missed me.
Oh, is that
They're
what
probably
it
tired
was?
of you.
I don't know. If you are, email us at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com. Anyway, and there have been a lot of happenings, a lot of new rules, a lot of new regulations from state, federal, and local governments. And one of them is, of course, right behind us here. You know, all the parks have been closed. But it's not to say that you haven't been writing for many periodicals about the new rules and regulations. Some updates regarding the regulations.
Basically, in terms of parks, Mayor Bala shut them down a bit ago. It's kind of hard to know when he shut them down because during this quarantine times, everything sort of blurs into every other day. And I know a lot of people, myself included, are experiencing that. They have no idea what time it is and no idea what day it is. But Governor Murphy just yesterday shut down the state parks, which has caused some pushback, at least in the chatter on the internet, which is the only place people are allowed to assemble currently or to voice their opinions publicly. The argument being that, the public state parks were open this long, we've hit the peak, what's the point in closing them now? And you've also had some other pushback in terms of Murphy's other recent decree that quote-unquote non-essential construction would now be prohibited. So the question is why was construction allowed up until now if we were concerned about social distancing? And B, how do we define, or how did he define what quote-unquote essential construction is, or construction for essential needs? And so if you look into that administrative order, you see that most of the quote-unquote essential construction is construction that is being paid for by the taxpayer. So it's okay for our state government to spend the taxpayers' hard-earned money, and at the same time, the issue that I've been writing about is that there's absolutely no plan right now from our state leadership, and also across the river in the New York state leadership, to do any sort of economic pressure-relieving measures that would allow all the people that are stuck home right now, that are on furlough or that are anxious about their job, or many people have lost their job, just not even on furlough, just lost their jobs. There's nothing being done to say to these people, hey, this year we're going to allow you to keep more of your money so you can pay your bills. And there's nothing being done to reform any of the Byzantine regulations, which hurt small business on a regular day, but right now is on top of the quarantine stuff going to kill small businesses.
Yeah, let me ask you a question because you covered a lot of ground there. I just want to ask you a question about the construction. You said that non-essential construction needs to stop, and it's basically the construction that's being paid for by taxpayer money. A lot of these projects, they do have a deadline to complete their projects by, since they are taxpayer funded. So do you think that had something to do with it, that these deadlines are...
No, because I think to believe that, you'd have to believe the mythology that taxpayer funded projects actually ever end on time.
Exactly.
And if anybody has ever...
But there are givebacks if they don't end on time.
If anybody has ever driven on New Jersey roads, they know that tax-funded projects never end. So this is really just the casual, careless spending that our state leaders, quote-unquote leaders, they're not leaders, in Trenton continue to do. And while they ask everybody in the state to make understandable sacrifices for public health, they themselves are not willing to make that sacrifice as well.
And I think that you hit the nail on the head when you also mentioned about what's going to come next. I mean, we're hopefully at that plateau of COVID-19 here. And, what we hear, especially from the state level and the municipal level, is what's going to happen after that. I mean, they love making headlines about talking about the number of cases, the number of deaths, and what we shouldn't be doing and things that they're closing. But there's really nothing like, hey, hopefully there's a light at the end of the tunnel, correct?
So in terms of the Wuhan virus, there's basically no way that we could have been more prepared. And whether it's the federal, state, or even local level, most of the response has been decent. Some has been a little bit overboard. There's definitely been inconsistencies. For example, our mayor, Mayor Bala, in his daily use of the emergency alert system, which I think is a bit over the top. I'm glad that he's keeping the public informed, but the emergency alert text is a little bit too much. 2 nights ago, he sent an email saying that he had responded. It had the usual number of how many people that day had been infected with the Wuhan virus, but he also included in it his refusal to shift towards plastic bags. Because as you know, San Francisco, which was the leader in banning plastic bags, has now banned reusable bags because the individual may wash their reusable bag. But in the aggregate, these reusable bags do not get washed and end up being vectors for disease. Now, Mayor Bala didn't explain why he won't do it. He just said he's not willing to consider it. If we're doing everything that we can for the public health, like these leaders want us to, it's not that much of a sacrifice for the mayor to temporarily reinstate plastic bags for the health and safety of the public.
As they did in San Francisco, correct.
Yep.
Josh, you and I were together earlier when we were doing research for this segment that we're filming here tonight. And I believe it was Union City or Jersey City. There were literally Hudson County sheriffs and local police departments who were guarding empty parks. I mean, what I'm going to ask you to do now is give a grade, to our local levels and our state, our local leaders, I should say, and our state leaders regarding, what they've been doing right and what they can improve upon.
So I would say it is, listen, I'm not saying one way or the other on closing parks. I understand the rationale and I understand the counter rationale. But it is somewhat silly that there are police officers stationed in parks preventing people from going in, where you could have those same police officers stationed in the park enforcing social distancing.
Correct.
And that way people could be able to stroll.
Which, by the way, shouldn't be their jobs, correct? I mean, but in a time like this, I mean,
in the ideal world. But going back to what you said about there being a light at the end of the tunnel, we're starting to see glimmers of that light come through when it comes to the actual dealing of the Wuhan virus. And there's only so much that the mayor of any town and the governor of any state and the president of any country can do in that regard. And I think in that regard, in terms of getting vital medical equipment to the heroes that are our first responders, the doctors, the nurses, the EMTs, they are doing a good job. God bless them. But when it comes to the thing that they could have been prepared for, that they have ample time, because there's no way that everyone in Trenton is handling the logistics of getting supplies to hospitals. When it comes to the economic storm coming out of the viral storm that comes when you do a government-imposed shutdown of the economy, on the state level, there's absolutely no planning. There's absolutely, and if past is prologue, we know what they're going to do. We know that Murphy and Trenton are just going to try to raise everyone's taxes, as if reaching further into our wallets is going to somehow help all the closed businesses.
Well, Josh Sotomayor Einstein, our political analyst every week here on the show, never one to shy away from giving a piece of his mind. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you on future episodes here at the Pier. Right?
For sure.
Good. That's what I like to hear. Folks, when we come back, we're going to have Alexandria Tava here at the Pier. She might be giving you another demonstration. She loves doing it. We love seeing them. You're not going to want to miss it. We will be right back. Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of the Pulse with Peter B. Folks, in response to our most recent guest, Sandy Rask of Believe Health, we are offering an exclusive opportunity for the Pulse with Peter B viewers. Nominate your doctor by visiting www.believehealth.com and you will receive a $100 gift card and a free 1-year membership if your doctor signs up to offer Believe Health plans. All you have to do is visit believehealth.com and click Nominate Your Doctor. Fill out the contact information and note that you are a Pulse with Peter B. viewer. When your doctor signs up to offer Believe Health plans, they will contact you with details for your gift card and annual membership. Go on there and sign up and nominate your doctor today. Welcome back to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano, still here at the beautiful Maxwell Place Pier in Hoboken, New Jersey. We are following social distancing guidelines, 6 feet apart, and joining us for her 4th straight week, I'm even going to stop counting, Alexandria, is Alexandria Tava, at Alexandria Tava and alexandriatava.com. I'm getting better and better every week.
Thank you.
Exactly. So, Alexandria, you look a little comfortable today. I have to be honest with you.
Oh, why, thank you. It's because this is my 4th time being here.
Exactly. She's just getting more and more comfortable as the time goes on here. So it's funny, when we had our pre-production meeting, we were talking about things to go over on the show here, and we spoke about yoga. And what I did, Alex, was I acted like I knew what yoga was. Now, when I'm at the bars trying to pick up women, they tell me they do yoga, and and then they ask me, all these questions, and I am just totally flabbergasted by any of the conversation. So talk to me. What actually is yoga?
Okay. Well, and yes, yoga classes are a great way to meet people, not just women. There's a lot of men that do yoga too. A lot of football players do yoga as well.
Equal opportunity here on the Post.
Exactly. That's right. That's why I'm here. So yoga, yoga is a mind-body practice.
Okay.
And really what it does is it encompasses movement and meditation in one. So a couple of segments ago, we talked about meditation. So this is a perfect progression of us working together, Yoga actually means union. That's like the actual meaning of it. And it comes from ancient India. How it ended up here in America is, we live really stressful lives here. And yoga has just been one of those really simple things that everyone can do in their house, especially when gyms close, like right now during the crisis.
So let's talk about that. I mean, you basically said what it is, and thank you so much. Now I'll have a knowledge the next time I'm at these bars. But what are the benefits of it?
So there's a ton of yoga benefits. Some of them is weight loss.
Oh, really?
Yep. Flexibility.
Okay.
Question?
No, I'm going to make you finish, but something just popped in my head here.
So talk.
Hot yoga.
Hot yoga is my favorite, and I'm
but
dying.
What the heck is the difference?
Okay.
No cursing here on the Post.
Okay, so hot yoga traditionally is 110 degrees. It's my favorite. I love it. It just allows you to do mainly 2 things. One, releases a lot of toxins from your body because you're sweating. And it also loosens up your muscles so that maybe if you're not the most advanced yogi or practicing yoga person, you will have an easier time at doing some of those bends.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So now you touched upon this before, and I interrupted you rudely, I might add. And sorry about that.
No,
and you said that this is something that people can be practicing at home during quarantine. I mean, they don't even need a mat, which we're going to get to in a little bit.
Yeah.
Correct? I mean, how can people practice this at home?
So really simple. Once again, I'm going to go back to, I think, 2 segments ago, I talked about breath. So yoga, once again, encompasses the body and the mind. So you can literally just be sitting at your table and start to focus on your breath. And then when I show some body movements, that's when you're practicing yoga.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So now, you know what? I know that you have your yoga mat here, folks. And I think you're going to show us a demonstration. So before you get on the mat, did I say that correctly? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Before you get on the mat here, speak about some of the demonstrations you're going to show us.
Okay, sure. So let's say you've never practiced yoga before, and you're home and you're getting a little bit cabin fever, and another benefit to yoga is that it reduces anxiety. So maybe for you at home, and you want to just jumpstart a practice, you can, like I said, go to that breath. We're going to always start with the breath. I'm going to show you some movements with your arms while you're standing. Then how you can just bend over and start to stretch your legs. And if we have enough of time, maybe I'll show you 1 or 2 more advanced yoga moves, which is downward dog, a lot of people like, or standing warrior, tree pose. I mean, we could go
You know
on
what? We're
for
going to
this.
have some time. So why don't you
All right.
drop your mic, get on the mat.
Drop the mic.
Dropping the mic. Here we go, folks. Live demonstration here on the Pulse. All right, I'm going to send the microphone over to you.
All right. So typically we would not wear any shoes, but since we're outside for safety reasons, I'm going to keep my shoes on. We do want to have a yoga mat preferably, but if you don't have one, that's okay as well. So what we're going to do is have our feet together, bring our hands to prayer pose. We always want to start a yoga practice kind of at center. That just balances your attention. You want to, if you want to close your eyes and just take a big deep breath in, big deep breath out. Now, say you have what we call like a monkey brain, which are a lot of different things are running through your brain. Oh my God, my kids are running around. The Nintendo fell off the shelf. Da, da, da. My husband won't stop talking to me. I don't know what to do. So how you want?
Or your boyfriend or fiance or your significant other.
Oh, my mother won't stop calling me. It's like, all right. So how do we calm that mind, right? So we're going to take our left thumb and we're going to bring it to our left nostril. And we're going to take a deep breath in through our right nostril. Take our left pointer finger to our right nostril, close our nose, and exhale through our mouth. Then we're going to inhale through our mouth, release our left thumb, inhale through our left nostril, close, exhale through the mouth.
So this exercise is so easy, I feel like. I mean, and what is the purpose of this? Just to kind of release stress and so on and so forth?
It balances your circulation, your heart rate. It gets you at that equilibrium, which I talked about a couple of segments ago. Definitely go back and check out breath work, meditation, mindfulness. Go back to those other episodes. Catch you up to right now. So we always want to go back to that breath. We want to bring ourselves to center point. So say we finish doing the breath work. Now we can incorporate our arms. So we could just bring our arms. Yep, sorry, they're social distancing. Imagine Peter B is not here. And we're going to bring our hands up over our head. Once again, we can bring our hands to prayer pose above, or we can act as if we're stretching, reaching something in the sky. This just gets our body moving a little bit. And especially if you are someone who's used to sitting at a desk for work and now you're home, you're like, your body's a little out of whack. So just stretch it to the sky, bring your hands back to prayer pose, but this time we're going to go down and we're going to reach to the mat. And we're going to attempt to touch our toes.
Attempt, that is.
Yes,
Although she looks like she's got it.
I'm almost there. If I wasn't wearing wedge sneakers, I do not suggest wearing your wedge sneakers at home.
Although they are unbelievably fly kick.
Woo, thank you. So once we're down here, what we're going to do is we're going to take another inhale in, inhale out. And we're going to roll up one vertebra at a time on your back, just slowly. Bring your hands over your head, inhale. As you exhale, bring your hands back to prayer pose. Now we're going to do that all over again. We're going to bring our hands over, around, above us. Bring our hands down to prayer pose. Bend down, try to reach and touch your toes. But this time we're going to walk out, almost as if we're doing a push-up, and I want you to stand there, stay there for a second, and I want you to push your heels back as if you are trying to bring your heels to the floor. I want you to feel that stretch. I want you to take an inhale and an exhale. Then I want you to walk your hands back to your feet, and bring your hands all the way up. All right, and now we bring our hands to prayer pose. Feet in, take a big deep breath in, deep breath out. And then there we go.
There you go. Well, Alexandria Tava, we are unfortunately out of time, but that was I feel relieved, and I didn't even do anything. All I did was hold a microphone. Exactly, you certainly do. Well, if you visit her website, alexandriatava.com, or on Instagram at alexandriatava, you'll be able to see more exercises, hopefully, and more demonstrations that she will be posting. Thank you for joining us. I know you're going to be back next week. Who knows what she'll bring next week? Folks, when we come back, Daria DeLucia of At Hoboken Eats will be joining us via Skype. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be back. Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of the Pulse with Peter B. Folks, in response to our most recent guest, Sandy Rask of Believe Health, we are offering an exclusive opportunity for the Pulse with Peter B viewers. Nominate your doctor by visiting www.believehealth.com, and you will receive a $100 gift card and a free 1-year membership if your doctor signs up to offer Believe Health plans. All you have to do is visit believehealth.com and click Nominate Your Doctor. Fill out the contact information and note that you are a Pulse with Peter B viewer. When your doctor signs up to offer Believe Health plans, they will contact you with details for your gift card and annual membership. Go on there and sign up and nominate your doctor today. Welcome back to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano, and joining us via Skype is our Places Insider from At Hoboken Eats, and that is Daria DeLucia. Daria, hope all is well and you are staying safe.
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. I hope you and everyone else out there is doing okay right now, too.
Daria, it's been an extremely long time that you've been on the show, and I must say we miss you.
I know.
And I would be remiss if I didn't first congratulate you on your engagement to your lovely fiance, Matt. And you do have a new addition to the dinner table, and I want you to share your new addition with the audience.
Yes, let me grab him really quickly. Come here. Oh boy, come on. Ta-da! Introducing Rigatoni. He's our little bundle of joy, and thank you so much, Peter, for the congratulations on the engagement and the little man. It's been quite a couple of months in this awful time, but he's our little ray of sunshine, I guess. We call him Tommy for short, if anybody sees him on the street.
Okay, Daria, so obviously with the COVID-19 pandemic affecting our nation, restaurants are struggling all across the United States. Have some local restaurant owners / managers reached out to you regarding their struggles and what they are going through?
So as you can imagine, I have quite a few good relationships with some of the chefs, owners, people who work at the restaurants. There's been a couple who have who have ended up closing their doors right when the initial curfew went into effect. They, I guess, wanted to close their doors before having to have their wait staff come in and their chefs come in. What they're doing now is a lot of the restaurants are, offering things for you to come pick up on the weekends. I know Sorlina, for example, they closed right away. I talked with them in the very beginning, and it was best for them to just kind of close their doors from the beginning. I know a few other restaurants had the same feelings, but I think the overall consensus is they're really struggling. I was at Del Frisco's last weekend, and they also were having a hard time kind of getting out the message that they're still open for delivery, for takeout. So I think that the hardest part for some of the restaurant owners is getting the message out there that they're still open and hoping to serve Hoboken and Jersey City and Weehawken, but also struggling with having to, furlough some employees and make sure that they're keeping up with all of the CDC regulations.
Daria, I'm sure many of those restaurants locally are still offering takeout. I was wondering if you can go over some of the places that you like, and do these places deliver?
Yeah, so Matt and I kind of have a Friday tradition. Since we're in the middle of Lent right now and there's no meat and we both gave up our favorite foods for Lent, we're kind of struggling. So we've actually been ordering pizza every Friday. Some of our favorites are, as I've mentioned many times, Napoli's and Tony Baloney's. We've actually been ordering from a lot, but I will tell you that basically all of the pizza places are still open. I even know, I believe it's Mario's was selling pizza dough, so you could buy that from them and then go home and make it. We've also been trying to, as much as possible, buy our ingredients from either the delis or the restaurants. For example, we got some Italian bread from Autostrada on Sunday night, because what's a Sunday dinner without some Italian bread? So, instead of going to the food store, we tried to help support local as much as possible. We've also gotten, when they were still open, we went to Grand Vin on St. Patrick's Day. We went to Carpe Diem and stopped at 8th Street Tavern for some beer. So it's been great to still try and support the restaurants. Pastrami House also, that place was impossible to get into on St. Patty's Day, but we've been going there for breakfast sandwiches. All the Italian delis are still open. We've gotten Frankie and Ava's. Like I said, Del Frisco's for a special date night. We got Augustino's the other night. So we've just really been trying. Yeah, we've been trying to make it feel as normal as possible.
And Dara, I have to ask you, what are some of your go-to takeout menu items at these restaurants that are not only good when you're physically sitting at these restaurants, but also when you're sitting at home eating them?
I'm going to have to give a little shout out to 10th and Willow, because we love 10th and Willow, and I'm a big fan of their chicken cutlet sandwich. And when I tell you, all the restaurants have been doing great with keeping the food consistent, but this chicken cutlet sandwich has just been superb every time we order it. So that's one special shout out. But if I had to say any go-to menu items, obviously your pizzas and your Italian food's going to be the absolute best. Things that are easy for you to reheat, pop in the oven just to give it a quick little nuke, make it, as if it came fresh out of the kitchen. So any item that you can reheat, I think has been the best that we've gotten. So pastas, pizza, anything like that. Your Italian sandwiches.
So would you recommend buying liquor from these establishments, assuming they have a liquor license, of course? And would you say that their drinks are different than just going to a regular liquor store to buy them?
So yes, I would highly recommend helping out the restaurants and the local liquor store, the local restaurants and bars that serve alcohol as much as possible. The Shepherd and the Knucklehead actually has opened up their window in the front, right on, I believe that's Willow Ave that they're on. And they have Hoboken Brew Company actually selling their beers right outside that window. Instead of going to the liquor store and buying your generic brands who, might not need as much help right now, we're trying to go to the Shep and buy that beer and help support Hoboken Brew the best way we can. We got wine from Del Frisco's, like I said, beer from 8th Street Tavern. So we've just been, I would highly recommend, using these restaurants. And I know there's quite a few out there who are still serving cocktails. That can give you some of the pre-made stuff. I know one of them, Sorlina, who is closed but selling some items on the weekends. They were selling a Bloody Mary mix and some of their wines too for pickup. So things like that go a long way.
All right, Dara, we love talking about good date night spots when you're in studio, when these restaurants are physically opened. Would you recommend ordering from one of these restaurants to have almost like a virtual date night spot? Or if you're living with your significant other, to have a date night at home?
Yeah, and I think that what a lot of people are doing is if they're not going to order takeout from these restaurants, what they're doing is buying the ingredients from these restaurants to go home and make something fun for themselves. So like I said, going to one of the local pizza shops and getting some pizza dough is a really fun date night idea that you probably wouldn't have thought of, 2 months ago. Like I mentioned, we got Augustino's for a good date night. It's still fun to maybe get dressed up a little bit, take off your pajamas for 1 second and put on a normal shirt, maybe do your hair for a second and still try and have that special time. But yeah, our go-tos, like I said, Augustino's, Autostrada, very, very big fan of Autostrada. And then for our more casual date nights on Fridays, like I said, pizza. So it's just, there's all the places that are still open. We got a steak from Del Frisco, so that was definitely a nice Saturday night last weekend. So things like that have been kind of fun to switch up the days.
All right, Daria DeLucia of At Hoboken Eats, thank you for joining us. And to your prized possession, Rigatoni, the new cutie at your dinner table. Folks, join us next week for The Pulse on everything you need to know. I'm Peter Biancamano. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.